Today's topic we are discussing about EPS versus EPF versus NPS, right? Or we call it Employee Provident Fund versus National Pension Scheme, right? So we should take both of them or only one. Like EPF is by default if we are working and we have our 12% of salary going on into the EPF account, right? So I think we all know about both of the schemes. So let's get into the comparison, right? And what should do and what it is catering to our needs. So let's get started quickly. So first of all, thank you for giving us the time. And if you like the content, please subscribe, right? So yeah, so if we talk about the interest rate, right, of the EPF, so this is the official data from the EPF website, and it has the data, I think, from pretty long, right? So it is like from 1952. So we can say the interest rate were growing initially, right, as we scroll through the years, right, and then it keeps on growing, right? So I would say this was a really good time, right? We used to get, because I think these are the time when we used to hear from our parents, grandparents, like the way to grow the money, you just keep on putting it into the bank, right? Because 12% is a really good rate, right? And so after I think 2000 started going down, so we will not discuss that. So in a nutshell, like if you take a look, and the current rate is close to 8%, right? 8 or 8.5, right? So that is the EPF interest rate. And if we talk about the NPS, so NPS returns are like quite good, right? If we compare with like EPF, in NPS we have multiple like asset classes. One is like equity, so there we can easily get close to 10 to 12% return. Then we have corporate bonds, government bonds, so there we used to get easily 8%, and this is data which we are talking from the last 10 years, right? And so on an average, if I say, we can easily get the 10% return in NPS, right? So given the calculator we have on that, if we input the data, right? So if we say like if you're investing 10,000 a month in EPF, in NPS, let's say, right? And the age is 30, right? So we're investing for 30 years. So with the 10% of CAGR, the amount will grow like close to 2 CR, right? You can see the results here, and this is a live calculator, it's not some static data. So it is a huge sum of money, right? And people might be thinking, well, that's fine, right? We can get 8% in EPF, what difference it will make, right? So I think that is the power of compounding. Even the 1% makes a big difference, right? So if we go to the 8% calculation, right? So here, if we can check again. So with a 10% CAGR for 10,000 a month for 30 years, we are getting close to 2 CR, right? And if it is 8%, which is, I doubt it will be 8% for long, because the way EPF rates are going down, it can go further down, right? But let's stick to the 8%. So the amount is coming close to 1 CR and 41 lakhs, right? So if you want to compare again, for 10% it is coming 2 CR 7 lakhs, and with 8% is coming 1 CR 41 lakhs, right? So close to 60 lakhs difference is coming in with just 2%, right? So it is a huge difference, right? Even if it might not look like just a 2%, but you can see the big difference, right? And that will basically change everything in the equation. So that is my one of the bet, like we should take the NPS in the account, right? The other perspective I have, which is the goal of our product, these two products, right? So EPF government says you have to put the money like 12% every month, right, of your basic. That will go by default. NPS, it is your choice, right? So if you want, you can put the money in the NPS. If you want, you don't want, right? So the benefit if you put the money in the NPS is the taxation. So if you're in the new regime, so there we do not have any exemptions listed, right? But NPS, employer contribution, for which we had made another video, the link will be in description. So with 14% of your base, you can contribute into the NPS through your employer contribution. and that will be tax free, right? So you can basically save a lot of taxes on that, and the money can be accumulated, right? So that is from the taxation front. I say NPS is more tax compliant than EPF, right? Because there's no cap. Let's say your salary is let's say 2 lakhs, right? And out of that 2 lakh, 1 lakh is base. So the 14% of your base you can put in EPF, in NPS, and the entire 14%, which is 14,000 a month, right, which will be tax free. But if you're in the old regime and you are investing through EPF, there is a certain limit of section 80C, right? In that you can put the money. So that is one thing. Second thing is the goal, right? So in NPS, you cannot withdraw the money until the maturity age, which is 58 or 60, right? So, but in EPF you can. So you can withdraw the money like whenever we are unemployed for 60 days, right? We can withdraw the money. So that makes a big difference between these two schemes. How? Whatever the current job market we have, right? We are hearing a lot of news from different companies for the recent layoffs, right? Even the companies which used to be very stable, people used to say, okay, just join them and we can retire from those companies, right? Things are changing, right? And the layoff news is coming more frequent than it used to be, right? So we need to be prepared, and in those days I think the EPF money can give us a very good support. So I would say EPF is a kind of support for the bad days before the retirement, right? So that is why I do not call it a retirement product, right? We can basically need this money at any point of time before 60, and whenever we need most, like in case of unemployment, we can get it. So that is a safety net with EPF. So we should have EPF, right? But for the retirement, we should have NPS also, because without that, let's say if something happened with our job and we withdraw all the money, whatever we have accumulated in EPF, then we are gone, right? We can survive in those days, but what will happen to our retirement corpus, right? Because that time we can get a job now. Let's say we got laid off, we can get another job in a 6 month or 1 year, right? But at the age of 60, what is our options, right? So retirement corpus is a must. We should have whatever we are doing, even though we need to contribute a little, we should start, right? And why I have in multiple calculations, I have taken 10,000 a month. The reason is that in the recent changes in the income tax laws in 2025, with those changes, your take home will be increasing by 10k, 8 to 10k, right? Everyone's home pay mostly. So if you put that money, right, in the NPS, it will make a lot of big difference, and the calculations are with us now, right? So you can basically save 2 CR by end of your retirement, right? Yeah, so goal is another thing, like what we can do with the NPS and what we cannot do with EPF, right? So both have different product and both have different different requirements, I would say, and both are needed, right? With the recent layoffs, I think we should like provide support through EPF, which is must. Third difference I see is the asset class, right, which is very important. So in EPF, your interest rate is fixed. In a way, it's good, but it is 8%, right? And how 2% can make a difference, we all have seen, right? We can see again. So if we are running with 8%, it goes to 1.4 CR. If it is 10%, it goes to 2 CR, which is a huge difference. So with NPS, you can change the asset class, right? NPS provides that option. So like I think most of us know, but just to repeat again, like we have equity asset class, where basically to invest on all the equity instrument. Then we have corporate debt bonds, which we call it asset class C, and then we have the asset class G for the government bonds, right? We can make another video on it, or like how to go and how to approach these different asset classes. But in a nutshell, like if you go with some default scheme, the 10% CAGR is easily we can get it, right? And we have that data, like for last 10 years, it is going on, right? So and the good part, like you can switch also in EPF. Like everything is fixed, you're putting the money and the interest rate is fixed by the government and you will get that. And like the way it is going down, I doubt like after 30 years we will be getting 8%. Right? So even the 1.4 cr which is this calculator is showing you may not be true, you might be even getting more less. But NPS, like you can play with it, right? So how we can play, basically, let's say you have started, like you do not want to take risk and you started with the corporate bonds and government bonds, you are putting most of the money there, right? And you have accumulated a very good corpus there. And let's say time something like what is happening now, the market is crashing across the globe, right? The stock market is coming down and it may go down further, nobody knows, right? So if you get the opportunity, like in COVID, lot of stock market was down, right? It is heavily down. So those are like I would say it's a very good timelines where if you have some money, you can basically put in the market and you can generate really good returns, right? So in those times, so basically these asset classes will give you that kind of buffer, right? So let's say if you have saved in corporate bonds and government bonds and you see a opportunity where market is heavily discounted, so you can simply do a switch. It is very easy, and NPS allows to switch every year free of cost. So you can do switch from, let's say, corporate to equity or government to equity, and you can buy that equity at a very good price, which basically which can even increase return, right? So 10% is like something if you're not doing anything. But if you want to play with like this, you can even further increase. So that flexibility you have, like, so it is your money and we should be very careful about it. In EPF, we cannot do anything, but it is needed for whenever we need before the retirement, I would say. But with NPS, you can do whatever asset classes we have. So yeah, that's it we had for today, and let us know how all of you are thinking. Is content is good, and please subscribe if you like the content, and we will be posting more video on this NPS series. So stay tuned. Thank you.